And we're back. We are back. Welcome to Open Your Eyes. We continue with our conversation with Belize Diaspora Foundation. We've got, with the continued conversation, Dr. Egbert Greenwich, pediatrician, and Dr. Anna Lizama, OBGYN, family medicine, public health research principal investigator. Guys, the conversation continues. And Marlene was right on that in terms of asking you about your feel with the vaccine. Dr. Lizama, you took your vaccine, and we actually saw a picture there of Dr. Greenwich with, him taking his vaccine.
So John is scared of needles, so that one spooked him a bit.
Not the J-O-B, but the J-A-B.
Getting the jab.
All right, so let's talk about how the rollout happened in your areas. Yeah. Was it just all medical professionals? Was it frontline first and the rest of healthcare workers? Let's go through that.
Well, they started with frontline workers and essential workers, or mostly affected by the COVID-19 virus. And then they went to people over 65 years and older. Mm-hmm. But at this point, they're also considering school teachers.
Yeah.
It's going to be a rollout very gradually. The Ministry of Health will actually put out there who goes in what on a priority list.
Yeah.
Okay? So many Belizeans have natural immunity. All of us feel like, oh, we're Belizeans, so we have natural immunity to everything, all the viruses and everything, right? But the COVID-19 virus is a new or novel. That's what novel means, viral exposure. And the vaccines will promote our immune system to fight off the virus. So the AstraZeneca, I was explaining to you about the AstraZeneca virus and Sputnik 5, so they actually will create a response using harmless weakened a vector, like the common cold vector, who delivers a code to the SARS-CoV-2 virus. COVID-2 spike protein, and these proteins make copies our cells make copies of that protein and promote our body's immune system to make B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes, which can fight against the virus. You need to have at least 2 doses, so you get your immunity about 2 to 3 weeks after the second dose.
Yeah.
Okay? So the platform for developing these viruses have been in existence for over a decade. This is not a new thing. Vaccines are something that the world has used throughout history, and we've eliminated a lot of and gotten control of a lot of other viruses because of vaccines. Okay? So the researchers were then able to identify the viral genomic characteristics and start working on a vaccine early in 2020. Yeah. So the reason for it's true that the market has approved these viruses for emergency use, but they have completed phase 3 clinical trials, which usually means they've enrolled and used these vaccines on 20 to 40,000 people before they can say that, and have recorded over months and what the side effects are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the vaccines have been thoroughly scrutinized by leading scientific bodies and have been and followed very stringent regulations. So it's not like this is something that was rushed. Yeah. This has been in the works for a long time.
And there were several things that were different about the development of these vaccines that kind of made it faster. One was, I think you mentioned it earlier, the code, the genomic code of, in other words, kind of like the makeup of the virus. It was known very early on. That was one of the first things that helped.
Yes. I mean, and the scientists were on this right away. So this is not something that just started, say, in the last few months. Yeah. Initially, this COVID virus was considered to be just a respiratory infection, but we now know that there are ACE2 receptors present in many organ systems, including heart, bladder, prostate, intestine, the brain. Mm-hmm. And so It's actually a systemic disease, and there are people you've heard of, the long haulers, people who after they recovered from the infection go on to have like chronic diseases like clotting problems, kidney failure, heart disease.
Wow.
So this is not anything to play with at all. You know, so why expose someone to an acute disease and to become a COVID-19 long hauler when it can be prevented with a vaccine? You know, all vaccines have side effects. All medications have side effects. Herbal medicines have side effects. So, and the ones for this vaccine, it's not. They're very minimal. The reactions you're getting, the side effects that you're getting, is actually your immune system. It's showing how your immune system is responding and actually becoming able to fight against the virus.
So let's talk about your vaccine experience. You both got the Moderna?
Yeah,
I got
I'm the lead boy in the team. Shouldn't say that. That's wrong. I don't mind telling people I'm an honest guy. I'm one of those high risk guys, Marlene. So I always knew, given my family genetics, that this virus had my name on it.
Wow.
I got the virus back in May 31st. I remember I went to pick up some paint somewhere because I was selling my house, and I painted the deck, and that night I felt flu-like. I immediately called in and said, guys, I'm not coming in today. I'm going to get a PCR test. So I did a drive-by PCR test, and sure enough, I had the virus. I had a warm time with that virus. Hold on, stick a pin. Before catching the virus, I made sure my numbers were great. I made sure my blood pressure was great. I made sure my metabolism, my sugar and everything was great. I went to the gym 3 times a day. And I don't know, I know we are on different Facebook pages, but I also spread that message to people all the time. I said, the studies are showing that people that look like me and the Hispanic people are at risk, and these are the people that are dying. So I was very frightened of catching the virus. So I got the virus. I needed a little extra help to get over the virus. And when I got the first shot, I was a little afraid that, but it went well. I was a little shaky, but...
Wait, you're rushing past one of the stories we want to hear. How badly did the virus affect you?
Yeah. You said you had a warm time with it.
Okay, so that was an experience. I could have dwelled on that. So the first 10 days, my wife caught it at the same time, and the two of us, we changed our bedroom was changed to like a hospital room, a ward. And the kids brought food to the door. We had me, my wife, we had a niece there. Our daughter had come up to have two twins that were, I think they had gotten a little bigger by then because they were born in January. So they were home. And then I had my 2 sons. So we were all, they had a term for that, where you're all, you're in a closed up unit and you know who you're with. So we were all together in this house in Minnesota, in Worthington, Minnesota. So they took care of us. We do our vitals every 4 hours. We did temperature, we did blood pressure, check my sugar, check my oxygen. And my wife, she had fever, but my fever refused to go. So on day 10, I'm an aggressive guy. So on day 10, I said, guess what? This fever is not going to go away. I need to be seen. So I think I got seen. Did I get seen? I can't remember the story, but we had these portable pulse oximeters. And I think I became air hungry, and I couldn't breathe properly. I got like a stat of less than 90%. Wow. Anyway, I went to the emergency room and I told them, hey, I need some oxygen. They gave me oxygen, and then I asked to be transferred to the bigger hospital, and then I was given steroids and I got better. Oh. But it took like a couple visits before I got better. One of the things about the COVID virus is that people tell you to call the hospital. But if you call, there's always these phones that people don't answer. I just went and I parked myself there and said, I need to be seen.
Yeah.
And I got seen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got better with steroids, and the guy told me I remember I saw one doctor and then I saw another one. He said, listen, you're going to be fine. Medicine is half your mentality. Once that hospitalist told me I was going to be fine, I felt a whole lot better from his words.
Yeah.
I think patients want to hear that they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So it was an experience. I wasn't the straightforward, no symptoms type of person. I had shortness of breath and I had low oxygen for a few hours, and then I got better with steroids. So, you know.
Yeah.
But you did take the vaccine, and have you suffered any side effects?
Yeah. So the first one, I was felt broken up. I had a flu-like response. And one of the guys in my group, Dr. Hyde, he had said, if you feel kind of messed up after the first dose, that's just your immune system. You just have a very active immune system. So I said, I have a very active immune system. I'm just going to take some Tylenol and I should start feeling better. And so said, so done.
Yeah.
And then when I got the second one, luckily that was on a Friday evening. And so I was able to stay in bed this Saturday and Sunday. So I don't think it affected me as much as the first jab.
Yeah.
I think I did better with the second dose. But most of the literature says that the second jab, your immune system was kind of, was introduced to the virus with the first jab. So the second jab is supposed to be the worst one. But for me, the second jab was better than the first jab.
Interesting. Yeah. But
So I did better.
I'm sure people are at home thinking, well, why would you get vaccinated if you already had it?
Well, I read about that today, and apparently, they think that the immunity you get from the natural
Exposure.
process, if you will, from going through what I went through is a horrible experience, because you feel like you're gonna die, and you're having fever every day. Every 4 hours that fever would come around, and I was on 1 gram of Tylenol every 4 hours. I don't want to put anybody through that. I think Sweden tried that, and I was curious, so I researched it last night. Sweden abandoned the natural approach to herd immunity, and they started doing like everybody else and locking down universities and schools. So we don't want the natural approach. I don't want anybody to go through what I went through, and I didn't want my mother, who is over 80. I don't want anybody over 55, because the average person doesn't know what I know.
Yeah.
So they will not prepare their bodies for this disease.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't want anybody to have to go through natural herd immunity. This whole talk today is about encouraging people to go get your jab, so that you go through, your immune system is told through this vaccine to strengthen up, so that when the COVID comes around, you don't get it, or you get a less severe course. I think Anna didn't really stress that too much, or she did. If you take the vaccine, even if you get sick, and the Israelis are seeing this, there's a 94% decrease already after weeks of giving the vaccine in their militaristic way. They're seeing a 94% decrease in hospitalizations and deaths. Yeah. So we need to mimic that model, because we are smaller than even Israel, which is a very small country. We have less of a population. So we are the perfect, we are the perfect country to give this vaccine to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the people that will argue with this vaccine, from what I have seen, TV hosts, are those people to whom it won't mean a lot. Maybe people in their 16 years and 20 years who probably are naturally strong. But people over 55 who know they're obese, who have type 2 diabetes, hypertension, or elderly people sitting at homes who want to embrace their grandchildren are going to jump at this vaccine and take it, because they want a return to the normal way of life.
Absolutely. I appreciate you sharing your experience there. Dr. Lizama, let's move over to you to talk about that as well. It's really important that we know that even people who have been exposed to the virus may need to get vaccinated as well, because what we do know at this point is that there is the possibility of reinfection. So you still have to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
But let's talk about your vaccination experience.
Well, I have been very fortunate in that I have not contracted COVID-19, but I have been using all the different public health precautions. Um, I got my first vaccine the end of December, and because of all the scheduling difficulties up here, it was almost 6, 7 weeks before I got the second vaccine.
Wow.
But my only side effect was the soreness in my arm. I didn't get any fever or anything like that. Now, the one of the things to point out is that the AstraZeneca vaccine that we're supposed to get with COVAX has something like a 64% rate of decreasing actual transmission. But the AstraZeneca vaccine has been the only one that has been studied long enough for them to say that.
Yeah.
So they actually, the research participants, what they did, they swabbed them down the road and to see if they were actually carrying any of the virus in their system, and there were so many of them were not. So that's a very good sign. That you can actually.
There was also something astonishing about that AstraZeneca too, and that when they gave less than optimal dosage, there was an actual paradoxical increase in the efficacy of the vaccine, and they're studying
so
that.
It's like a full dose of 1.5 dose of for the second. So they're actually, all this is very fluid. They're still doing a lot of different ways of giving the vaccine to see where you can get the best effectiveness. And down the road, I'm sure we're going to need boosters to cover like the viral strains that are coming up. And just like the flu vaccine, we probably will have to get, COVID-19 is here to stay. It's not going to go away in the next year or so. We're going to have to get vaccinated against this every year like we do with the common flu.
Yeah. Now, when you do get vaccinated, let's start from the first dose. Nothing changes as to what you have to do to protect yourself, right?
Nothing changes, but you still have to continue wearing your mask, social distancing, because you can still, even though you got that vaccine, you can still be carrying virus in your nostrils and you can transmit it to others. So you wear masks, you social distance, you do all those things, not just to protect yourself, but to protect others.
I think the latest thing with the CDC after the vaccine, Marlene, and everybody has become a COVID expert. I mean, I think every day, most people in the world who can read something about COVID, you kind of have to, because it jumps out on your phone at you. So you know that the CDC, I think was last week, said that if we who have gotten our 2 doses, if we come in contact with somebody that's sick, we don't necessarily have to quarantine, if we don't have any symptoms. So that's one of the first advantages about having the vaccine. But as far as discontinuing wearing PPE and mask and so on, no, that advantage has not been conferred on us as yet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you ask a question about the stages of giving the vaccine as it applies to Belize?
Well, we have been told some of the information, but we know that it's going to be starting with healthcare workers.
Okay,
There's an interesting thing, that when we get the vaccine, and I think you were mentioning it before, there's going through whether you meet the criteria, administering, and then also monitoring for immediate side effects and long-term side effects, right? Can you explain that? Because you've met with the ministry, so you know the process.
Well, it's a detailed book that they have, a detailed explanation of all this. Needless to say, I think it was all, I don't want to say borrowed. I think WHO, the leadership organization, disseminates this material, and it tells you how to set up vaccine reporting on adverse events. So I would say Belize is not planning to skip any of the stages. They're going to ask you the pre-vaccine questions, meaning, are you having any current COVID symptoms? They're going to give you, they're going to ask you if you have allergies. As you know, the Moderna is the one that's associated with less allergies, 1 per million shots, and the the Pfizer, which we're not going to have in Belize, gives you 5 per million shots. So they ask you, do you have a history of allergic reactions? They're going to ask all of that. And then after you get the job, they're going to give you a card. Of course, they're going to electronically record this, because if they're like me, when I came for my second shot, I had lost the card.
Oh my
Luckily, I'd taken a shot of it with my phone.
Yeah.
But they're going to use the BHIS system, which we're lucky to have. That was rolled out, I think, when I was in Belize back in the 1990s. Luckily, we have an electronic medical record. And are you aware that Belize has an electronic medical record?
Of course. Of course.
Huh?
She's up to date, yes.
No. Because in our meetings, guys, don't laugh.
Yeah.
I'm the one that has to remind these guys that, hey, don't be like most people who come to Belize and think that we can't do anything to help ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a BHIS. Hold on. I'm not talking down to you. We have a BHIS, so we're going to record everything when you get your first shot, when you get your second shot. If you had any side effects, we're going to record that. And they also have a vaccine adverse effect recording system, and they're going to have a phone line you can call in if you have anything beyond the pale, beyond the aches and pains and the fever and what have you. You can report those kinds of things. I think people, Marlene, I think people have to realize this is the only thing I disagree with. Yes, this was all ramped up very quickly. Yes, but no shortcut was taken to assure that these vaccines were safe for putting in humans. They were put in preclinical phase, then they were put in animals, then they were put in humans in phase 2 and phase 3 trials. So no step was missed. So the vaccines are very safe. People are put off by 1 in a million stories about this person dying after a shot or getting the illness after a shot, as if they're trying to pick at the virus per se. Pick at the vaccines per se. But none of those arguments is strong enough to say that someone who is greater than 65 or greater than 55 with at-risk factors should not get this vaccine, nor should it dissuade any government from wanting to immunize up to 80 to 90% of their country, so that herd immunity is simulated and we can return to a way of life. There's no argument large enough so far.
And I don't think anyone wants to argue about how quickly we want to get back to our way of life. But before we completely run out of time, I do want to get a chance, Dr. Lizama. I know that, as you mentioned earlier, the group is new, and you're working with the people within your network, but there are many more Belizean healthcare professionals who will want to join into this cause, whether it's to come here to administer vaccines or to assist in networking or maybe even continued medical education. How do they get in touch, and how are you going to continue to grow this group?
Well, you can get in touch with me on Facebook Messenger under Anna Lizama, and my email is docannabel@gmail.com. All lowercase DOCANABEL@gmail.com. Now, I wanted to just put a word in there because Dr. Greenwich didn't give me a choice there. But, a chance. But I wanted to let him, I wanted to say that when it comes to the rollout of people who have allergies will have to get their vaccines at major clinics and the hospital. People who have allergies, who need hospitalization, will need to see an internist to see if they are even able to get the vaccine. So the Ministry of Health has this already in progress. So hopefully, if there are any allergies, they will be taken care of. If there are side effects, they will be taken care of. So I don't think people should be afraid of getting their vaccine.
No, if you have an allergic background, you will be taken. You'll get it in the right setting. Okay. So
And I want to point out that I actually have been away from Belize for 45 years, but I have done multiple mission trips all over Belize, Corozal, Belize.
It's not the same as living there. It's not the same. You gotta live there.
So,
You
yes.
gotta live there. It's not the same.
No, we have done a lot of work in the Belize district and working with Belize.
You gotta live there.
With the Cancer Society, and one of the things that I still work on is getting a cancer registry for Belize.
Listen,
So there are lots of things that we still have to do, and the pandemic is the crisis right now, but there are lots of things that we want to do for Belize down the road.
and I think
Marlene,
the start
I
of
must
this
say though,
group, yeah.
that we had talked about when we realized that we were not, getting registered quickly enough. I know we have a shortage of time.
Yeah.
This whole initiative on bringing these nurses to Belize and pharmacists and what have you to assist in the vaccine rollout, this came from Anna Lizama.
Wow.
Anna Lizama just put one passionate plea on Facebook, and you should have seen the result.
Yeah.
I'm coming, Anna. Anna,
Yeah.
I will phone you, Anna. Anna, I'm going to message you right away. I see people coming like cockroach from Alcana to try to help Anna Lizama. I'm so glad I got to meet, and I'm working with great Anna Lizama because I had heard about her long ago. All right?
Well, and we're grateful that we got you to be on the show today as well, because we know, and we all have family that's living abroad, that are living abroad, and we know that they never, ever lose touch of what's happening here. In fact, a lot of our online viewers are, in fact, people living in the diaspora who are faithful to all of our programs, so they stay in touch. And what you're now doing is offering them a vehicle to help in the way that they can. So thank you for talking to us, and thank you for letting us know your own personal experience with getting vaccinated and your plans as the Belize Diaspora Foundation initiative. And we do hope that you get even more Belizeans on board to assist you.
Thank
Marlene,
you.
please put up the mountain.
Your mountain?
Yo, what?
What's
Yes,
your
my mountain. Mount Shasta, near where I live. My last slide. Please
In
put it
your
up.
last slide. Okay.
I hope people
Listen
don't
to
get on
me,
me.
Dr. Greenwich.
When I put up this mountain, I said people are going to get on me for not putting up the blue hole. They're going to get on me for not putting up a Maya ruin. They're going to get on me for not putting up the barrier reef. But listen, I wanna defend myself. When I was at Yale and I used to do talks, I used to put up the blue hole. I used to put up the Maya ruins. I used to put up the keys, and people look forward to that more than they look forward to my talk. So, in defense of myself, I want to put up this mountain that is near where I live.
Well, let me tell you something.
God's beauty.
Let me tell you something. I've been to Minnesota. I'll tell you, I can proudly say we have a sunny day with 81 degrees outside, and you can be jealous of that one.
Thank you.
All right, both of you, thank you so much.
All right.
Do take care.
Bye-bye.
Exactly.
It's been a pleasure.
Exactly what we missed from the good doctors there, Dr. Greenwich. It's always nice to see you guys. But we need to take a break. When we come back, we'll be shifting gears. We'll be chit-chatting with reps from Santander. They got a late start to their harvesting, but at the same time, they're projecting somewhere around 750,000 metric tons of sugar cane in this year, 2021. They'll tell us all about it when we come back. Stay with us.
This COVID update was brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.